Well, with me next is Dr. Edna Adan Ismail. She's a former foreign minister for the semi-autonomous region of Somaliland, a former Somali First Lady, and a renowned activist working to improve healthcare and education in her homeland. She has a particular focus on stopping female genital mutilation. Trained in the UK, she became Somalia's first qualified nurse midwife and in 2002 founded her own maternity hospital in Somaliland. Now, it sought independent recognition as a separate state from Somalia since 1991. That's not yet happened, but in practice, it does operate autonomously from Somalia and is in many ways far more functional as a country. Dr. Ismail, thanks so much for coming in to see us.
It's a pleasure.
First of all, do you think that Somaliland is any closer to being recognised than when you were foreign minister in the mid-2000s?
Yes, of course. Every day brings improvements in Somaliland. It brings development. It brings investments. It brings the return of its people from the diaspora to set up businesses and bring their families home. And every day it proves to the world that Somaliland is a functioning country, a country that deserves recognition for all the achievements it has been able to bring during the time that it has separated from Somalia 28 years ago.
Talking about investment, Somaliland's increasingly aligning itself with Dubai. It's agreed a deal to build a naval base in Berbera and run a port for DP World, which I believe is majority owned by the government of UAE. Deals like this must cause tension with Somalia. Is it worth the stress?
Well, Somaliland has been going alone since it separated from Somalia. And of course, anything that brings improvement and democracy and development and economic growth in Somaliland is not going to please some neighboring Somalia, which has done everything in its power during the war to bomb and kill civilians in Somaliland. And since we separated from Somalia, it has continued to deny Somaliland its right to its own self-determination, to do business where it wishes to do business, when Somalia itself has not been able to run its own country and bring about any peace in Somalia. By contrast, Somaliland has been doing business with many nations. The port of Berbera is one of the oldest ports at the mouth of the Red Sea for centuries, and it has been the lifeline for Somaliland for the past 29 years. Of course, doing business because Somaliland is at the mouth of the Red Sea. It has a great country, Ethiopia, which is landlocked as a neighbor, which relies on imports either from Djibouti or Somaliland and the ports in the Horn of Africa. Somaliland has that potential to be an economic country that is...
Regardless of objections from Mogadishu, they don't appear to be going very far.
Mogadishu will continue to object anything that is good and democratic in neighboring Somaliland.
You were also named special representative for peace talks between the two governments, between Somalia and Somaliland.
Yes.
Both countries have relatively recently got new leaders. Has that changed anything in terms of the dynamics of the peace talks?
It has not, because Somalia continues to maintain its stand that it owns Somaliland, when in fact it does not. I mean, Somaliland was former British Somaliland protectorate, where Somalia has been the former Italian Somalia.
That's
two
why
independent
it's
countries.
Self-declared.
It's two independent countries. Somaliland is the one that was independent first. In fact, when Somaliland was independent from Britain, Somalia was still an Italian colony. So it's not one country that owns the other. There were two sovereign Somali nations that decided to unite. Many countries decide to unite. Many companies decide to unite. It was a voluntary union. It was not a conquest of one country over the other. But that union didn't work. And when Somaliland tried to withdraw from that hasty, failed union, Somalia took objection to it and placed itself in a position of ownership over Somaliland, which it does not have.
You've invested a lot of time, a lot of effort,
yes.
A lot of encouragement and campaigning
yes.
in trying to build better healthcare in communities,
Absolutely.
better education.
Yes.
Have you seen over your career much of a success in
Of
yielded from
course.
your efforts?
Oh yes, Somaliland today has universities, has schools, has hospitals. Somaliland in 1991, when the troops of Somalia were ousted, was a country that was left for dead. It was flattened out, no functioning hospitals, no functioning schools. Today, Somaliland has more children going to school than have ever in the history of my country. Somaliland has... in fact, my little hospital, which is a referral hospital where many complicated cases are brought to, has managed to lower the maternal mortality rate of Somaliland to less than a quarter of the national average. It's something to be proud of. Women have the vote. Women have positions. I have women surgeons in my hospital who are able to operate and save lives.
Dr. Ismail, thank you very much for coming in to speak to us. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for.
It's a pleasure.
For the
Thank
moment.
you.